catch him! Ah! Pokemon?
Gotta catch 'em all! Pokemon!
Today's exciting art experience is Pokemon. Now, I have to admit, this is a bit before, a bit after my time. Pokemon, I have no clue about it. There's a load of like random small monsters and they like level up to bigger monsters. So I asked a close friend who's a big Pokemon fan, plays Pokemon Go and all that, and he gave me like advice on which Pokemon were cool or not. So I decided I would draw from scratch a massive page of Pokemon, but all the cool ones. So who have we got in there? We've got, excuse by the way the pronunciation, I don't know what I'm talking about. We've got Raichu, Venusaur, him. This one looks like the most fun, Blastoise. Why are they so hard to pronounce? Onyx? Everybody's favorite, I believe. Charizard. This one looks like the super easiest to draw, Mew, and also quite popular. Loads of requests for her. I'm guessing it's a her, Mew. Yep. As I do each drawing, I'll show you the final piece of them, then I'll carry on and draw the next one, and then show you the final piece of them, and then I'll carry on with the next one until I have a page full of Pokemon. I'll have a black, strong outline around them all, and then I'll go into colour. Let's go and draw.
And we're off. So starting with Raichu, I had picked out my picture initially and now I'm just doing the sketch. So it's a simple pencil sketch. These Pokemon characters aren't actually too hard to draw. Raichu was fine. As always, after the sketch comes the deep outline with the fine liner. So just going around Raichu. Simple enough, standard procedure here. Then we'll next rub out his pencil marks. Okay, now we're on to Venusaur. This had to be one of the weirdest characters I've ever seen. He looks like some sort of tortoise dinosaur with like a pineapple on his head. But yeah, it's pretty fun. What I did is actually drew his pencil marks over the top of Raichu because he was in pen. It didn't matter because when I rubbed out what Raichu blocked, then we saw all of Venusaur in the background. I was keen to keep Raichu right at the front of this from the start, so obviously that's why I drew him first. Everyone else is going to appear behind him, so it's almost like Raichu's jumping towards you. As I said, Venusaur was reasonably tricky to draw just because he was so weird and there was just loads of different things. His colour was quite hard as well, which we'll talk about later when we come to colouring him in. Now this is one of the coolest characters I've ever seen. He's sort of like a King Koopa hybrid with a massive gun. So I believe this guy's called Blastoise. So I'm used to drawing Bowser, so he's got like a King Koopa shell on him with a big gun turret on it. So yeah, just standard pencil sketch. Once again, he appears behind Raichu. Throughout this whole thing, I've been trying to keep the characters reasonably the same size. The way I was doing this was looking very closely at their eyes. So obviously Blastoise, I'm pretty sure he's bigger than Raichu in the actual game. I do not play the game, so I don't even know. Three characters in the bag, now on to the hardest one to draw. So if you are drawing Pokemon characters, do not pick Onyx, if that's how you pronounce his name. He is very, very tricky. He's made up of a load of different colours of grey, basically like a dark grey, almost a black, and then light greys, and then almost white. But yeah, just loads of real squarey shapes, so it's quite hard to draw and get right. Thankfully I only had to do his head and one part of his body. But yeah, he fit in quite well to the picture. Another cool character, Charizard, once again if that's how you pronounce him. But I wanted to keep him quite big, almost the same size as Blastoise. So yeah, standard sort of dragon shape and easy enough to draw, to be honest. Finally, we have Mew. So if you're wanting to draw any Pokemon character, draw Mew. She's really, really easy to draw. Her lines are very simple and it's sort of a standard sort of like cat shape. So yeah, Mew is the easiest. Turned out quite well as well. I was well chuffed with her.
Now it's time for color.
Time for colours. So you'll see in the background I've filled in any of the spare gaps with just sort of like an outline, which I'm going to fill in later on in black. It just makes the page look a little bit more full. So now this almost just looks like a colouring in page you'd have in a colouring book. Started off with Blastoise and a really light blue colour. He is a bit darker than that. As always, when putting in your base coat, you're always just sort of blocking in the colours. So most of these colours will not look like the colour that these guys will end up as. Example there, Mew is not that dark a pink. She's actually quite light. Charizard's a bit more orangey. Venusaur isn't that blue, it's more of a greeny colour, but you're just blocking in the colours sort of to secure where they are within the drawing. The page is filling up great now, so we're starting to add in more of the colours which they would actually be. I'm really focusing on Raichu now, especially with his like shadows which cast across him. Now with Mew, she's going with the low lights, and you'll see as well the page is actually filling up. Everyone at this stage has their base coat, and now it's just adding the low lights to all the characters individually. As I mentioned previously, Onyx was one of the hardest to do, especially because when his came to his shading, it's just different colours of grey, so you're very much using greys, low grey, high grey, all these different colours of grey just to achieve sort of the same colour. But yeah, it turned out well in the end. I was happy with it, but it was a bit tricky.
Stick with it, guys. This is tough, but you just gotta keep coloring. Think of the final goal on the page is full of color and it comes to life. Keep going.
It's definitely at the stage where you start to not get bored, but you really start to feel as if you've been working on this for a long time. Bearing in mind this is on a time lapse, so it's sped up 4 or 5 times the speed it actually was. So you are working on it quite a long time because you've probably got there's 6 characters there, so 6 different characters to give lowlights, highlights. Definitely the hardest character to get right was Venusaur because of his actual colour. I didn't have the pro markers for this, so I ended up having to resort to colouring pencil for a few of them actually. For Charizard, his orange wasn't as deep orange as I wanted, and Venusaur is sort of greeny turquoise colour, wasn't as turquoise as I had it, so I ended up using colouring pencils to bring sort of it to the right colour. If I did have the right pro markers, then it would be fine. Getting very close to the end now, so you can see that all the characters are starting to really look the part. Just final details now. A cool trick I ended up using for all the characters is a white colouring pencil. The white, as you can see there, Mew, really brought her highlights up and brought her to the right colour she was supposed to be. That white pencil was used for all of the characters actually, to really sort of smooth off their finish. Finishing now with Venusaur, and then that's a wrap on the drawing. But Venusaur, you'll see that I played about with the colour for a bit until I finally just got a turquoise pen. Ta-da! That is a wrap.
The journey is complete, yes. So stoked with the final outcome. Turned out really well. I did have to go to colouring pencils at one stage because I ran out of the felt tips, the pro markers I'm using. But it all turned out great. Well happy and chuffed with the results. So you know how to go about it. Pick your reference picture, draw out a sketch, pen it in. When you got your full page, just start colouring and keep going back. And when you see something which doesn't look right, go back and change that and keep at it. Stick to it, you'll get a class page looking like this.
Who do you think is best? I personally prefer Blastoise out of all those.
Have an amazing day, folks. Peace.
Gotta catch 'em all.